Babe, please get me a glass of water. We must finish and close these books before the day ends.
I can't do this anymore.
Why didn't you say anything?
I thought I could handle it. Plus, I wanted to be a good wife. I wanted to impress you. I didn't want to let you down, and then the pressure just.
We are a team. We really need each other.
Oh.
Hello and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Hashtag for Better for Worse. Thank you so much for keeping us company and thank you for watching. We've had an amazing run the past 8 episodes that we've been able to broadcast, and we've had discussions here and there, and I'm sure you've been learning something, a thing or two, so to speak. And today we also have another exciting discussion lined up for you. But before we get into it, please subscribe and share with everyone and let everybody know that there's help, there's wisdom that is being given here on a weekly basis that would help them grow their marriage towards what God wanted or intended it to be. And to help us discuss the topic of today, which is roles in marriages, is an amazing couple that we got to interact with last week. They took us through finances, and we had a twist there where when tables turn, what then? How do we support each other? How do we wade through? And one of the things that we learned is that the foundations have to be right so that you're able to weather through. But today we continue with them, but talking on that topic of roles in marriage.
We've been married for 13 years now, so she knows I like taking my meals together with a cup of tea. Not after, together with unateremsha na chai. So part of her playing that role is to also understand those intricate details. And that cup of tea should not be excessively hot. It should be up or katikati.
You can't manage hot tea.
So
No, it can't.
yeah, I mean, we were brought up with poesha. So part of us doing our respective roles is to understand, how do I meet the need for the other person? Because that's one way of knowing, who does what, who is taking care of each role, is to try and meet the need for the other person. So yes, there's a bit of that expectation which comes from our history, even our tradition, our baggage. I'll give you one small example. I think we were in Shags, of course in my Shags. Yes. Yeah. So normally, for me, I'm kind of like a do-it-yourself person. I'll just sort things out. So whenever I'm here, I'll just fix my tea or something. When I want to do it but mostly she does. So in Shags, I think it's a glass of water I wanted, and the glass of water and the jug were not too far from me, and I was with some other Zeks in Shags. I literally felt very difficult
to get up
to stand up and go pour the water for myself. So there is that expectation that is also as a result of, culture, history, and all that.
So he called me. I think when you're in the middle of wazes,
Yes.
you call the wife to come and set you out. So there I am looking at him, I'm like,
It's just there.
exactly.
What has changed?
And he was like, and then we had to have that discussion, like, now when you're in shags, like, okay, fine.
It's fine.
So, but there's a bit. I mean, that was kind of on a lighter note. So there's some roles that I'd expect her to do, not so much because they are defined by society or defined by tradition, just simply because I know that's what she does best.
Yeah.
So in the previous episode, we talked about finances. I hardly do anything. I literally, even though people would expect the man to be the organizer for finances, she literally does everything, because I know if she does that role, which she's properly equipped for, naturally talented and trained for it, it will be done very well. I tried to do it in our early years of marriage, and
it flopped. Yes, yeah, you got it. There's that, you believe that I'm the one in charge, I should be the one managing everything. So he tried, he insisted. I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
So
You submitted.
yes, exactly. Yes, I submitted. Yeah, I think he finally said, okay, you just run with it.
It's okay.
yeah.
All right, and so now we are in this situation where society has defined it this way, but what does the Bible say as far as the expectation on both of us, as a man and as a woman in a marriage setting?
I think going back to the Bible, you always have to go back to Genesis, which is God's design and origin for marriage and later family. The wife being created to be the helper, but also in Ephesians chapter 5, it talks about two things: the husband.
Yes, the husband being the head and loving the wife and living and cleaving.
Yeah.
Which living and cleaving is also taken care of in Genesis.
Yes.
Yes.
So whilst I've done theology, I hardly remember Bible verses. The concept is with me. That's why she's good in finances. She has details, exactly. But there's an aspect of a man in a Christian marriage playing the role of leadership, interceding for the family, covering them in prayers. The wife can do that. Together, collectively, you can do it. But I think there's a unique and specific role that's been assigned to the husband. And I think Ephesians likens it to Christ and the church. Okay, so the husband should almost be leading and making sure that the spirituality in the family is well taken care of. So, but besides that, the Bible also talks about gifts and talents. And so we can also draw that principle from the Bible as well, that the wife and the husband can each have their own specific roles simply because that's what God has gifted you in.
Of course, the woman, under Ephesians, it talks about submission, being under the leadership.
The one that many...
Yes, I know. I know it comes with a lot of connotation, but when you look at submission, it's more about attitude. It's just your attitude towards your husband's leading. Yeah, and I don't think we've had a lot of to and fro conversation about roles and submission, because I'm very aware, and the fact that we are Christians and we practice, we know what the Bible says, so it is there. Of course, now when the things...
But you are firstborn, you are used
yes,
to
I was coming to that, but now I was coming to that.
Yes.
It's not all rosy.
So of course there's submission, there's respect. Now of course there is what you have practiced.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not practicing submission, okay, but when I was growing up I didn't have anyone to submit to. I was just listening and obeying my parents, and being the leader for my siblings, because I'm the firstborn. So here you come, you've gotten married, now I'm supposed to be under his leadership. But what I remember is being a leader at home because I was the firstborn.
Yeah.
So of course we had moments of clashing. He's saying one thing, I'm saying another thing, and I mean it's neither is wrong.
Yeah.
It's just that I still want to maintain my leadership
Yes.
as a firstborn.
Uh-huh.
But now I'm not a firstborn.
You're
Yeah,
not
I mean
anymore.
this is a different. It's a different setting altogether.
Yeah.
So of course I had to. It took time, but I had to learn to okay, relax.
Tone down.
Yes, exactly. Tone down. Yeah, tone down, and follow his leading. Doesn't mean that I'm not contributing. Of course, I'm contributing. I'm having my say, and then now we are deciding, and he guides on how we are going to go. But of course, it takes our time of adjusting from being the firstborn and being in charge and telling everybody else what to do. Yeah.
At that period,
Yes.
when the adjustment is taking place, how was that for you?
I mean, it's difficult because also personality types come in into the mix. So, in fact, people joke, including my wife Olive, say that I don't communicate, I issue instructions.
It's very direct.
So I'm direct. I don't like gray areas. So so personality types set in. So it was we were finding our kind of equilibrium. I mean, in group dynamics they talk about forming, storming, norming, and then normalizing. Okay. So at that stage when you're each jostling for space and to try and say, no, this is what this is my role, that's the time that also God is taking to teach you about humility, that sometimes you always never have your way. The things that you want now, you can only have them later. So that's patience, it's self-control. But also, in management practice, they say, you can either lead from the front or you can lead from behind. And I find that quite useful. So even when I notice that Olive wants to assert herself in a particular role, that's the time sometimes I'll want to lead from behind. Okay? And you also have to be very spiritually alert, because maybe God has given her something that, has impressed something upon her where she really feels persuaded about. So I just shouldn't ni mimi ndio nafanya hii kitu, juu mimi ndio mzee wa nyumba.
Mimi nimesema.
Yeah, mimi ndio nimesema. So that's where you actually kind of wise. You step back a bit and you lead from behind. So you become a cheerleader, a motivator, a prayer. So unamuombea. But there are some times where you just have to lead from the front, where you notice something is not going on well and you just step in. A practical example, we have 2 boys. At some point, because we like being very present parents, and part of our role is to make sure that, we see them every morning before they go to school. And at some point, of course, we used to, extend our sleeping, until at some point I was like, why is it that we don't wash our kids in the morning when they're going to school and dress them up and have 30 minutes 40 minutes together? I just said, from tomorrow house help will not be doing this work, si ndio tunafanya hii kazi. So there I really had to step in and lead from the front. In other areas I just because she's also a person who interacts a lot with people. I don't. So in roles that require people skills, I'll kind of I'll be her cheerleader and I'll
You'll be there like go. Yeah. Oh, okay. And of course that comes with a lot of openness, communication, getting to understand each other. And that of course goes without saying that of course you'll get to a point where you clash. And I want my way, and you're saying, no, I'm not budging. This is how I want it done. We have to do it my way. In such scenarios, how do we deal as a couple, more so as a born again believing couple? Yes.
Like what he says about when you're both in charge. What do you say?
When 2 people are in charge,
Yes.
it means no one is in charge.
No one is in charge, and things can fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
Yes, so here we are, and I want it this way, he wants this way. Oh, I mean, the natural thing, we are couple. Of course, you will conflict,
Yes.
you will clash, and you will not see eye to eye. So you will take time out. You will take time out. I guess. I think I really like that we both have a relationship with God, because it is through those times when you are taking a time out that God reminds you of what your relationship with Him is about, and the need to maintain, harmony and unity as a couple and as a family. So because it's during those times now that now you've taken time out, and then now we will come and congregate again. And say, initially when we started out, he used to be the reconciler most of the times. Yes. I think with time I have learned to initiate reconciliation, because it's not one way, so it has to be both ways. So so you take time out, and then now you come back, and by then you have had that conversation with God, so you're more
Mellowed.
Yes, exactly. You don't have a hard stance anymore, so you are ready to hear the other person out, and to get their point of view, and just to see, because now in the end leadership comes from him. So of course I will give my input, he will give his, and with time of normalcy, like you're actually reasoning out together, then you're able to come with a common solution. Other times you will not be able to come up with a common solution. So you will have to to just go with his leading. Yes, because he's
Give
in
an
charge.
example.
Come on.
I'm sure
I'm sure there are many.
I have very many examples where I'm like, no, this should not be going this way. From very small things, like we're in a supermarket and mi naona tu vitu zinawekwa kwa shopping basket. I'm like, do we really need all of this? I mean, at that time you can't take time out and start
You just say no, we are not.
You say we are not taking that.
Yeah.
We are not taking that.
Or they will be taken, and then you leave the supermarket furious and fuming. So, but later, with the benefit of hindsight, you actually see, oh, by the way, we actually needed that thing. So the conflict resolution also helps you. It helps to balance you out. There are so many, like even when we are traveling, we talked about in the previous episode, we like traveling. Mara, I mean, actually this used to be a common example in our early years of marriage, parking. The favorite joke among couples is who is squeezing the toothpaste from
the
top.
Yours is parking.
Yes.
What about parking?
So I mean, I can see the natural and most easiest place to park is that parking. But Olive had this idea, no, you'd have taken this parking. I'm like, I'll still end up parking still at the end of the day.
The car will be parked.
Exactly, the car will be parked. But
well, I have driven for longer. So
you are experienced in
yes,
parking.
I was experienced in parking.
So
but we don't have those conversations. I mean, we passed that stage.
Now I see why God wanted you to have that car. One
car
so that you can
and the two will become one.
Yes.
Now, traditionally also, you see, like you said, I come with my baggage. I know that this is what is expected of me. Now you come to a setting, it is overwhelming you, but you're not speaking it out. Like for instance, maybe he's very busy working and trying to beat deadlines, and you have a lot of housework that is you're juggling between cooking, you're juggling between kids and all these other things. But from where you come from is that a good wife takes care of these things like superwoman. So I don't need to call MJ to come and sort me. That showing weakness as a wife. How do you handle such a scenario as a couple?
I think that is maybe the first, I would say, misunderstanding of your role as a wife. I'm happy from the word go we had a couples group. So we got married like 3 couples almost at the same time. So we would have those meetings and building each other. And the initial 6 months, 1 year, the conversations that were there is like, I am too tired. I am doing everything in the house. Nobody is helping me. And then the guys are looking at us. They are wondering, have you asked?
Exactly.
The guys are looking at us. They are wondering, have you asked? Have we refused? And then it came out so clearly that it is we presume that we're supposed to do everything, and and according to the men, as long as you're doing it, they'll see you're okay. Exactly. According to them, they're like, you're sorted. I mean, I don't need to do anything else. So what came out so clearly is that you've got to request, you've got to ask, you've got to speak out what it is that you feel that you need help in. The fact that I'm running with the kitchen doesn't mean that I do everything in the kitchen. It means I'm the one who will think about what are we eating or when am I going to do groceries, But in terms of the actual work, it's simply asking him, now since you're getting home earlier, could you be starting with maybe the ugali, and then I'll come and finish up with the greens, So it is thinking ahead and requesting and asking, because you're working together. It is not it is conversations of, I am done, I am so tired, my body cannot take it. And then now that brings the other aspect of, in other areas like intimacy. Now, if you're so tired,
there is no way.
You don't even.
He's making advances, and you're thinking,
what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
See, I'm tired.
Exactly. I have been slaving. In your head, you're thinking, I have been slaving the whole evening,
and
the whole
day, and then you are.
Exactly.
What is happening? Yes. So of course, now it leads now to all those dynamics and conflicts. Then, in the end, you realize it's just simply because I did not ask for help. So it is now learning to talk to each other, communicate, and I think I like one of my couple friends who said, I'm not in your mind, I will not know what you're thinking. You've got to voice it out.
Yeah.
So actually what I'd actually be very specific to say is voice out your requests, your burdens, where you think you need help, voice it out. Don't assume that your partner knows. Yeah, they may not know.
They might not actually be knowing.
Yes.
I know you, before you add anything, also as you do that, I'd also like to speak to the men who are hardlined in terms of, me kitchen, I will not go.
Yeah.
How? I mean, as you add on that to that.
I really like drawing from the Bible, because to me it's a manual. In both Colossians and Philippians, Paul talks about being taken captive by fine-sounding arguments, which are based on human traditions, and quote human traditions, and another part he talks about the deceptive philosophies of this world. And the hardcore positions with respect to which roles a man should do, I think, are drawn from partly culture. There's good culture and there's negative culture. There's positive culture in the sense of, the things that we celebrate as different communities in Kenya, and that needs to be preserved. But there's also another aspect that, just for instance, if and I could see her suffering so much in the early years of marriage when the kids were young. Surely I can't expect Olive to be taking care of a 2-month-old baby, na bado yeye ndiye anaenda kuspin ugali kwa kitchen. I mean, come on. Even if your culture says you can't step into the kitchen, it's obvious. And maybe it's like during the Easter holiday, like what she said, that's the time that you've given your house help a weekend off. So I go into the kitchen and I spin that ugali. So I think it's important to look at the things that make men to take that hardline position within the perspective of, for me, it's the Bible. If it tells me that those, and they are very fine sounding arguments, that's the term that Paul uses, because you're told, hey, ukifanya hivi,
No longer mwanaume.
Yeah, utaonekana wewe ni mwanaume na wewe ni
Umekaliwa.
dume. Ama ukifanya hivi utaonekana umekana. I mean, so it's important to put things in the right perspective. And then number two, I'm a big advocate of making sure that we are doing things according to our own gifts and talents. So there are some things that Olive will just naturally leave to me, because one example that she uses, if I can step into her shoes, is I like art.
He's artistic.
So when it comes to house decoration, Olive just leaves that docket to me. So I'll tell her, she's the one who chose the colors for these curtains you're seeing, and later she told me, anyway, I think hii job ningekuachia. So just like the finances earlier, I tried to hack the finances, nikamwachia.
It's okay.
So it's important to climb down from those hardline positions when you notice you're just messing up.
You can, exactly.
So for me, I'd say those two things, as far as men who want just to cling on to something because they believe that's the way a man should do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we are running out of time, and we must bring this to a close. I know we are having so much fun, but let's bring this to a close. I want us to have our final remarks. I know this is a topic that we cannot exhaust. There's a lot that we can talk about. In fact, we've not even touched on equality. Yeah. I mean, there's the whole debate about we are all equal and all that, but yeah, there's a lot we can talk about. Yeah. But yeah, for this one, it's an appetizer. We'll have it again in another session, but let's have our final remarks.
Okay, as far as I'd say, communicate, talk. I think I've been clear about voicing out where where you need help. And be ready to work with each other and support each other, because the family is for the two of you and your kids, and it's you forming your traditions for yourself. So decide how you would like it to be. And even for those who are young in marriage and are planning to get married, have these conversations early enough. It is good that you understand one another and that you're on the same path and direction in terms of what roles and how you will work together as a family unit to move towards the direction that you want. So voice it out, speak to one another, communicate, and take advantage of each other's gifts and natural talents. Yeah.
Yes.
So she talked about communication. I'll add two more C's. So communication, the first C. The second one I'd say to the wives and the ladies especially is communion. So you commune together with your husband. You're a team, and in that team, when you're communing and building a common purpose, you're also cooperating. So it's not the other bad C, which is competition. So cooperate together with your husband, with your spouse. And then lastly, have a common purpose of what you want your marriage to achieve. And once you have that common purpose, the roles and the responsibilities for you as the wife and your husband will kind of just naturally fall into place.
Unfortunately, that's where we must bring this discussion to a close. Thank you so much for keeping us company. I would ask you, if you've never had a candid discussion about roles in your marriage, take time and have this discussion. Sit down, talk through it, and have clear understanding of what each of you expect from each other as far as the roles are concerned in your marriage. And if you're there struggling in this or any other area as far as your marriage is concerned, don't suffer by yourself. There is help. You can get help. Please reach out to us. There's a team of people who are willing to walk with you, stand with you, and pray with you, and even help you through this challenge that you are going through. So reach out to us. You don't need to do life alone. That is not how it was meant to be. God intends that your marriage will thrive. Thank you so much for subscribing. Also share. Tell everybody to tell everyone that there's something good going on at Picha Safi Production, and we are excited to be hosting you from time to time as we have these discussions on marriage.